But our lead here at the top comes from the Tar Heel State. The Panthers have made the first head coaching hire. Whee! So exciting. Oh, I can't believe it. First offseason hiring, the new coaching cycle. If you've not heard yet, perhaps you've been living in a cave down by the river and you missed it. So we learned that Frank Reich, remember him? Yeah, Frank Reich, he's back. He won the sweepstakes, or should I say the booby prize, and he will be the next boss, the field general of the Carolina Panthers. Reich, 61 years young, fired as the coach of the Colts late in the 2022 season, a very lackluster tenure in Indianapolis where they rotated quarterbacks every year. Sounds like he's in for more of that in the Carolinas, and 4+ seasons with the Colts and a 1-2 playoff record in Indy. The Panthers, we are told by those that claim to know what they're talking about, were initially smitten kittens with the Lions offensive coordinator, all about Ben, as in Ben Johnson, not the disgraced former Olympic star from a previous generation, but Ben Johnson, the whiz kid of Detroit offense. But he chose to stay in Michigan, so the Panthers also considered running it back with Steve Wilks. And they said, no. We want something new. We want something fresh. So they hired a retread. All right, so let us discuss the question, how do you grade the hire of Frank Reich for Carolina? So we go to the report card, and on the MALLER report card, I am giving the Panthers and the hiring of Frank Reich a D. They get the D in Carolina. They do. I'll give them a D+. So I've got drip, cronyism, and coarse. And we will tie all of these things together, and we're going to make Tobacco Road. That's what we're going to, which is in the Carolinas. All right. So, listen, Frank Reich, for my purposes as a talk show host, he does not move the needle. But even if I wasn't in the chair that I'm in right now, I would not be giddy with excitement. Despite the Panthers using a bunch of useful idiots in the media to try to upsell the hire. I mean, we heard all kinds. They were laying it on thick, like extra thick frosting, which I like on the cake. Like, oh, right, he attended seminary in Charlotte after his playing career. He has a home there. He still spends the off seasons in the Charlotte area. One of his kids started working for the Panthers, so he's got family bloodlines there with the team. His brother lives in the area, has been a coach at Wingate University for forever and ever. He played for the Panthers when they were an expansion team. I mean, they were pulling out all the stops. Now, I have nothing against Frank Reich. I hear he's a very nice guy, and a lot of media people that I run across say nothing but nice things about him. He's debonair, if you will. But I am simply judging the man off the body of work that I have seen on the football field with the Colts, and they should put a sign up. Instead of welcome to Charlotte, it should read welcome to Dullsville. Mr. Milk Toast is now the coach of the Carolina Panthers. So on the MALLER report card, which is out of 100% possible, the Frank Reich hire gets a 67, which is a D. I'll give him a D+, as I said there. Typically, you look to excite the electorate when you hire a new coach. Like, get people really jonesed up. Either you hire somebody that's a proven winner or some hot shot, can't believe it, future star coach. Or at least you sell them as that, right? This is a franchise revival. You want to make a splash, a splish splash. You want to get some buzz going. You get a little buzz on this platform, sports radio, on social media, in the public square. Hiring Frank Reich as your coach is not a splish splash. It's a drip is what it is. It's a drip. I mean, it's a drop into an empty bucket. And with Indy, he did become the Rhodes Scholar at staring at his play sheet blankly when they showed him on the TV there. And then after the Colts imploded, he would tell the media not to worry, not to panic. Everything would be okay. Just trust him. So that's the kind of guy that you've got, and this is not someone who we were clamoring to watch coach again. but we don't own the Carolina Panthers. We have no skin in the game. Now, page 2. What was the key here for Frank Reich winning the Panthers job over Steve Wilks? So he is seen as a, quote, safe hire, right? Not a slam dunk, but more of like a layup line. All right? I don't know that Frank Reich can dunk, but it's like a layup line. You know what you're going to get with Frank Reich. You're going to get the calming presence that he's been around 500 most of the time, and it's not his first rodeo. Now, Steve Wilks also had coached. He was a debacle with the Cardinals. Clearly did a better job here with Carolina as an interim coach this year. But the key ingredient for Frank Reich is cronyism. And that's the word here, cronyism, right? Reich is 61 years old. He's got a lot of friends in positions of authority. He's been around the block. He's seen and done it all as a player and a coach, up and down the ladder, the pro football ladder. And cronyism is prevalent in all of these sports, just like politics, right? Reich was able to use the influence to help push him across the finish line. All things being equal, he ended up winning. Every time a retread gets hired, we are told the same thing. You know exactly what we're told when they hire a retread coach. We're told, well, Bill Belichick was a retread coach. Look how that worked out, right? He sucked with the Browns, but then with the Patriots, man. And Pete Carroll, he was bad for 2 teams, the Jets and the Patriots. And then he went to Seattle and kaboom. Of course, what is left out on the cutting room floors, we're never reminded of Norvell Turner or Dave Wanstead, or Jack Del Rio, or Herm Edwards, or Mike Mularkey, or any other coaches that got multiple jobs that blew everywhere they went. Because they don't like to drop the truth bomb. They're building up the mythology of the new coach. Now, the last word here. You might want to put on your hazmat suit. We're going third rail, my man, third rail. So many pigskin media types are up in arms at this hire. That the Panthers, they hired Frank Reich, they passed over the interim coach, Steve Wilks, and they were not alone, by the way. After Reich was hired, despite Wilks getting a second interview, the interim coach, and the chance to drop the interim tag, his lawyer ripped the Panthers for this decision. His lawyers, the lawyers that Wilks are paying, he's paying them, or I don't know if they're paying him or not, maybe they're only pro bono, but they're representing him either way. And so your lawyer speaks for you as a client. His lawyers said that Wilks did a quote, incredible job, and implied that Carolina owner David Tepper is a racist. That's the way I read it. That's what it reads like, the statement that was released. Now, let's discuss it. What do you make of Steve Wilks' lawyers saying, and I'll use the verbiage they used, saying there is a, quote, legitimate race problem in the NFL after the Panthers hired Frank Reich over their client, Steve Wilks. So as they say in the golfing world, this is par for the course. The most predictable headline of the sporting day is this from the lawyer. Now, the lawyer's got a vested interest. The lawyer should be happy, right? Because this actually helps the case. There's an active lawsuit that Steve Wilks is a part of with Brian Flores against the NFL that they're racist. So the lawyer should be happy as a clam. This is like the greatest thing ever for the lawyer.
Racist.
Steve Wilks did not do an incredible job. He did, the word I will use is an admirable job as the temporary coach. He went 6-6, beat a lot of bad teams against better teams, did not do so well. Final 12 games there in the regular season. Let's not confuse that with the second coming of Lombardi. Now, this statement by the law firm repping Steve Wilks answers the question in part as to why he was not hired. The man has an active lawsuit against the NFL, and his own lawyers believe he should have been hired. It sounds the way they said it because he's a minority, that he should have been hired. I mean, what kind of chutzpah is that, as my grandfather would say? Listen, the fact that Wilks has a job in the NFL, he'll get a job somewhere else as an assistant if he wants it, and Brian Flores is working for the Steelers, and he might be promoted to defensive coordinator in Minnesota or somewhere else. I don't know. I work in radio, so I really know the radio business. I've had about a handful of people in my career which is somehow keep adding on years to it. I don't know how that happens, but because I suck at this. But I've had many people that, not many, a handful, that have sued, whether companies I work for or other companies. And I don't know any of them that have still been employed by the company that they sued. So the fact that Wilks and Flores still have a job in the NFL is rather stunning to me because it doesn't work that way in my business. I didn't think it would work that way in the NFL, but here we are.